But for those of you who are already here, I'm Isaac. I'm a freshman in class 2025. I'm going to be your moderator today. And I might have to repeat myself as more people keep coming in. But in a minute, I will let all the panelists introduce themselves. Just some first remarks about the final selection activities. Y'all are doing this, and we appreciate you being here. Y'all are in these activities to learn some more about NC State and Park and the Park Scholarship Program in general. And we're really glad you're here. So I'll give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes and then we can get started. All right, I'm gonna let our panelists introduce themselves. Can everybody hear me all right? Just so I make sure I'm not talking to myself. All right, let's start with Shannon.
All right, hi everyone, my name is Shannon Pennell. I'm a senior studying electrical engineering, and I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina. Thomas, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Thomas Steckman. I'm a senior. I'm studying physics and math. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, so I didn't go too far to get to NC State. And I'll be answering questions in the chat if anything comes up. I'm kind of outside the normal panel. Joseph.
What's up, everyone? My name's Joe. I'm a sophomore from Pensacola, Florida, majoring in civil engineering. And I will pass it to Emma Grace.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma Grace. I am also a sophomore. I'm originally from Charlotte, so not too far, and I am majoring in neurobiology. And yeah, we're super excited to have you guys here. And Gia, I'll pass it to you.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Gia Nelson, and I'm a freshman in class of 2025. I am from Mount Olive, North Carolina, and I am studying human biology.
Okay, great. Thank you to all of our panelists. So as Thomas mentioned, we will have somebody monitoring the chat, but as far as questions, we do prefer you raise your hand and maybe get a chance to actually talk to some of our panelists. You can just raise your hand, and when I say your name, you're free to unmute and ask your question, or you can ask it in the chat. It's up to you. But we can get started.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and start with just a quick rundown of the schedule for finalist weekend. Starting with Friday. So Friday the 18th, that morning, you have college specific activities, and these are optional. I highly recommend them. I remember when I was a finalist and I went, and I really enjoyed those because I got to learn a lot about my major and the college I would be in. So yeah, that's in the morning. The attire is casual, and all of this information can be found on the park website in the finalist booklet. And then from 1:30 to 3, there is a tour of main campus. And here you get to see the Honor and Scholars Village, as well as a room within those or within the village. And then you also get to see the Park Commons, which is in Peel Hall. This is also optional, but yes, that's also really fun. So I definitely recommend that. And then from 4:45 to 7:30 is going to be the Park Scholarship Finalist Welcome, and that's going to have conversations from and remarks from Randy Woodson, who is our chancellor, and then also from a keynote address from Ben Gaddy, who is a Park alum from the class of 2007. And then after that, you have the option of staying and you can enjoy dinner, or you can take it to go. And for that, the attire is business professional.
All right, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the schedule for Saturday. So early in the morning at 8 o'clock, we're going to be having a meet and greet breakfast and Hunt Library on the 2nd floor. So it's going to be in Duke Energy Hall. There's going to be people directing you there. So don't worry if you can't find it. And the attire for all day Saturday while we're going to be at Hunt is going to be business professional. I just said that real quick. And so Saturday's a big day, right? That's what we're all here for. So it's gonna be pretty busy. And so like I said, we're gonna start off with the breakfast, and then we're gonna roll into the selection activities. And so everyone's schedule is gonna look a little bit different because there are a lot of y'all, and we don't want 112 people trying to, I don't know, sit in a panel with some Park alumni. That'd be weird. You guys wouldn't be able to ask all your questions. Or like 112 people in discussion task. That'd be weird too. But anyways, some of the things that y'all are gonna be doing on Saturday, you're gonna get a tour of Hunt Library. You are gonna be able to have the opportunity to talk with the director of the Park Scholarships Program. That's gonna be Eva Fight. You're gonna hear from her on more than one occasion during finalist weekend. You're also gonna have the opportunity to sit in on a bunch of different panels, whether that's with faculty members, Park alumni, current Park scholars. There's gonna be a couple different panels for that. You also get to learn a little bit about the arts at NC State, different programs for that. And then of course, at some point in the day, you'll have your interview and your discussion task. And there's also gonna be the NC State Resources Fair. And so what that is gonna look like is it's gonna be set up in the library, and all of the different resources for students are going to be there. So for example, the GLBT Center will be there, the Student Health Services, the Women's Center, the University Honors and Scholars Program, just to name a few, are going to be at the NC State Resources Fair for you to ask questions and walk around, get familiar with all that stuff. And I think a big thing about Saturday is, sure, we're going to be interviewing, or the selection committee is going to be interviewing you, and you are going to be participating in the discussion task for at most an hour all day, right? And the rest of the time is for you to learn about NC State and for us to sell NC State to y'all, right? Because all of you are amazing students, and we want you all to come to State. So that's going to be what it's going to look like during the day on Saturday. And then after all the high pressure stuff is over, all the interviews are done with, you guys are so confident that you did so well. Maybe, I know I wasn't when I got it. But that's that. On Saturday night, we are gonna have the spend the night activities. And so those are gonna look a little different depending on whether or not you're actually gonna be staying overnight on campus. But the schedule is gonna look pretty similar for most of the night. So we'll kind of leave from Hunt, and then we'll go over to main campus to the Caldwell Lounge, where we'll have dinner. There'll be some social activity, some social time for all the finalists and all of the current parks to kind of hang out. And then after that, there's gonna be a bunch of different stuff going on all over campus. There's gonna be arts and crafts in the conference room in the Honors and Scholars Village. There's gonna be card games and board games in the multi-purpose room in the Honors and Scholars Village. There's also going to be a movie with cookies in Peel Hall. There's going to be sports outside in the Honors and Scholars Village in the Quad. If you guys like spike ball, I love spike ball. That's what I'm going to be doing all night. So we've got that going on, and then we've also got you can do like a campus walk. You know, walk around campus a little bit more, and then so that all of that fun stuff is going to be taking place between 7:30 and 9:30 on Saturday. And then between 9:30 and 10:30, we're going to be having, you can either do one of two things. You can make s'mores in the Honors and Scholars Village, or go to the Paint the Free Expression Tunnel. So you have your choice of that. And then that'll go to like 10:30. And then that's where the schedules are going to kind of differ for whether or not you're staying the night or not. So if you're staying the night, and that's going to be for the out-of-state finalists, we're going to be staying the night. You are going to go hang out with your host, go to sleep maybe. And if you're not at 10:30, you'll go back to your parents or whoever your friends, or whoever you're staying with. I think that's that for Saturday. And all this stuff is going to be in a booklet. So if you guys don't remember anything I said, and then I will pass it off to Gia to review the Saturday parent schedule.
Actually, we have to go over the Friday parent schedule first. So
The Friday parent schedule is the same as the Friday candidate schedule. So yeah.
awesome. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the Saturday parent schedule. So it starts around the same time as the candidate schedule. You can be dropped off at 7:45 to come to the breakfast, and the breakfast is optional. Highly recommended. You're going to be able to interact with a lot of parks a lot of current parks during that time. But if not, you can come at 9 whenever the mandatory activities start. And so parents, once again, all of these activities are optional, but you will be at the Dorothy and Roy Park Alumni Center from 9 a.m. to 2:15 p.m. And so what's going to happen throughout the day, starting at 9 o'clock, you're going to be involved in a meet and greet. So you're going to be able to meet other parents and other families while enjoying breakfast. And then there at 9:30, there's going to be a parent family information session. And so during this time, you're just going to hear from different current park scholars about their experiences. You're going to get to talk to the program director, and you're going to be able to learn more about the park program and what that's going to look like for your kids. Then from 12 to 1:15, there's going to be a lunch. And so during this lunch, parents will have an opportunity to talk with current NC State students, so current parks, some of our parents, some other faculty and other staff. And then from 1:15 to 2:15, the University Honors and Scholars Program will be holding an information session where we'll get to learn more about the Honors and Scholars Program and also just more about NC State in general. So then from 2:30 to 5:20, this is going to be at Hunt Library. These are also optional activities. You get to be involved in the NC State Resources Fair. And let's see, there's also a Hunt Library tour available for the parents. And then from 5:30 to 5:20, there is a parent family reception. So you get to eat and connect with other finalists. And at 5:20, you're going to pick up your finalists from final selection activities. I think that's it. Yep, that's all for parents on Saturday.
All right, for those of you that are remote candidates, you should know who you are. I'm going to go over the plan for next week, and then we get to get this panel started. Anytime between next Monday and Friday, colleges will have various events. You will get an email about that, and all of that will be remote. We kick things off strong Friday night with our finalist welcome. I highly encourage you to attend this. The Chancellor Randy Woodson will be speaking, along with Ben Gaddy, a park from the class of 2007, who's giving the keynote address. They're going to be really awesome talks. If you can make it, I would do so. And Saturday is when we start the essential activities. So the talks Friday night are optional, but all of Saturday, not optional, essential, and start at 9 a.m. So check your cadence schedule for what exactly your schedule will be. Those aren't published yet, but they will become populated before Saturday. Over the course of the day, you'll have your interview, you'll have your discussion task, and various other activities like student panels, faculty panels, and of course, talking with the director of the Park Scholarships Program, Eva Veit. Okay, and I think that's all of the kind of admin information that we had to share. So like Isaac said, feel free to pop questions in the chat, or use the raise your hand feature, and I'll pass it back over to Isaac to get this panel started.
All right, so we do have 2 questions in the chat. And so I'll read those first, and then we can get to hands being raised. So first one is, this is for all the panelists. This is just a general question about what the final discussion task looks like. And I don't know how specific we can be. So just sort of maybe talk about your experience vaguely.
I'm happy to start us off. I don't think we can be too specific about what that entails, but I do remember being super nervous, and this goes for all of finals weekend, so kind of meshing those 2 questions together. I'm a really nervous person anyway, and so I remember being nervous going into the discussion task, but like 5 minutes in, the directions are really clear. They're not gonna like make you drink Kool-Aid or anything weird like that. But I remember just having a really good time. You get to talk with the other finalists, and they're all just really smart, fun, and curious people. And so I remember having a really great time with what we did do in the discussion activities. And I remember having a good time overall at finalist weekend. of course, the interview was a little nerve-wracking, but my interviewers were super nice and they helped me whenever I had questions or didn't know what to do or where to go. And of course, talking to other students was really awesome. So I don't know if other people have thoughts, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I think the discussion task like measures your ability to like work in a group. And so how it kind of like it's meant to assess how you work with other people, like I said, and how you communicate, different things like that. So that's kind of the point of it. And yeah, it's just all about kind of being yourself, being authentic. And I think a little bit of nerves is probably good. But you don't want to be like too nervous about it. Because then you don't say anything. And then yeah. So yeah, just kind of measures your ability to work in a group. It is nerve-wracking, but in the moment, there's kind of seem to go away when it's crunch time. So yeah, that's my response to that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It the whole weekend itself, well, mine was on Zoom, so it might look a little bit different than y'all's will. But I will say that like all nerves kind of subsided once the discussion task started. And it is actually, to me, it was one of my like favorite parts of the weekend because you got to meet other finalists and you got to talk and you got to really show like who you were in a group setting. So it's a lot of fun. Take your nerves away from it. I think it's probably something that a lot of us tend to walk away and remembering that we really enjoyed it.
All right, thank you to our panelists. That's the second question in the chat is, tell us about your personal experience at Finalist Weekend. I know some of you already touched on that, but how did you feel? What was your favorite part? This is a little broader, so Emma Grace, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, so I honestly I was really excited about finalist weekend. I was really excited to meet everyone. I went in not knowing anyone, and it was actually cool because I ended up seeing like 2 or 3 people that I went to middle school with there, and so it was cool to reconnect with them. And one of them actually also got park, which was really awesome, and I live with her now, which is just so full circle. But I was definitely really excited, but it was a little nerve-wracking. I feel like anytime there's an interview involved, it can be a little nerve-wracking. But the people who were interviewing me were so sweet the entire time. They made me feel so comfortable. And it was just honestly just like talking to like normal people. Like they weren't interviewing me. I made lots of friends, which was really fun. But I have to say, I think one of the most memorable parts was definitely the spend the night activities. I think painting the free expression tunnel was really fun because I was just goofing off with a bunch of other people, and that was really fun. And we were actually talking about this a little earlier before this panel, but some of the finalists and some of the spend the night hosts went into one of the halls, and we were all just like messing around and talking and racing down the halls in like spinny chairs, and that was just really fun and very memorable. And I ended up meeting some of my best friends there. So yeah, that was really fun.
If none of the other panelists want to share their experience, we can move to Emma's question.
Hi, this is a question for, I guess, all of the panelists in general. What is some advice you'd give to yourself when you were a finalist, like just going into the weekend?
A piece of advice that I got after the fact was don't compare yourself to other people because you are, every single person here is like super high achieving. And I made the mistake, as probably most of y'all did, of reading all the other bios and freaking out. Is like, dang, I didn't get to do all this stuff. I'm just a guy from Florida. Come on, what's going on? So I think my biggest piece of advice would be to not be intimidated by other people, to not compare yourselves to other people, because you're there for a reason. You're a finalist for a reason. and showcase that reason in your interview and in your discussion task. So, and you do that by being authentically yourself. And so you don't want to put on a facade of trying to like up what you would think would be like, improve yourself to match the other finalists. You don't want to like put on a facade because they picked, you for who you are. So yeah, just being authentic and not comparing yourself to other people. Because then you compare yourself to other people, you get really nervous, and then it doesn't go too well.
I got some really good advice kind of during the weekend from some of the older students, and it was to talk to other finalists more and to kind of view final selection activities not as a means to an end, but as an opportunity in itself, right? So you're getting to meet all of these people who could very well go to NC State and you might know going into your freshman year. And then you also have the opportunity to talk to a lot of faculty, which is huge. You can go ahead and start making those faculty connections if you're interested in research or whatever it may be. And then you also get to go to the resources fair. So there's a lot of centers there that can be utilized, whether the park becomes part of your life or not. And so like the GLBT Center is a huge resource, the Women's Center also. And so I would think about how you can use the finalist day to shape how your life on campus will be in the future, regardless of whether the park is there or not.
I completely agree with what all of them have said, what both Shannon and Joe have said. I think another thing, and this is kind of very similar to Joe's, is just that I think after the fact, and definitely during my first year as a park, the park staff reiterated this over and over. And when I was a finalist, I never believed them. I was like, you can say this all you want, but I don't believe you. And it's the fact that, yeah, while you are here interviewing for park and doing your discussion task and all that, NC State wants you. The park program wants you. We want you guys. You guys are brilliant. And you're really awesome people and you have amazing character. And the park program wants you. And so I got so in my head that I don't think that I definitely missed out on taking full advantage of everything that that finalist weekend had to offer because I was so in my head about that. And finalist weekend is really, really, really fun. I still think about it all the time and remember how much fun I had. And so I definitely would say definitely, prepare for interviews, be yourself, do all of that, but just don't forget to have fun because NC State wants you as much as you want NC State. So yeah.
All right. Next we can take Disha, your question.
So I think someone was asking this in the chat as well, but I just wanted to know the difference between this interview versus our semifinalist interview, because I know that one was more like experience-based and how you've grown. So how is this interview, the questions different?
I think anybody could take this. I can go ahead and preface right now. The questions are going to be pretty much the same. I'm not sure if we need the whole panel to weigh in on this, but whether that's good or bad news for you, the questions are pretty much going to be the same. I'm not really here to give advice, but just keep the pillars in mind. Keep the park pillars in mind. That's all I can say.
I'm a senior, so I don't remember the differences a lot. So if someone else wants to chime in more, feel free.
Coming from another freshman who just did it, from what I remember, because I feel like a lot of the weekend is kind of blacked out, but it was pretty much similar. Like Isaac said, the questions are gonna follow the pillars similarly to the way that they did in your first interview. The questions might be a little bit different, and they have your file on hand. So maybe talk about something else that you feel like wasn't highlighted in your first interview. But outside of that, everything looks pretty similar.
Okay, thank you. I think the next question is also from the chat. Can you tell me more about Spiffy and how you're able to utilize it? So we could start with Joseph if you want to go.
Sure. So Spiffy is is this database that allows you to access all things park, right? So whether that is, so you guys are gonna learn about this a little bit more during finalist weekend, but whether that's your stuff for park block, it's just a class that you take your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. So there's resources for that on there on Spiffy. There are, different policies, kind of resources for you on there. But the biggest thing about Spiffy is the alumni network that you're able to access on there. And so you literally just, I have Spiffy bookmarked on my computer, pull it up there. I can search, I'm wondering park alumni who work in water resources, right? Because that's what I'm interested in, civil engineering or the Department of Transportation. You can type that in, and then any park, current or alumni who has anything like that in their Spiffy profile, they'll pop up, or any experiences that they have, that'll pop up as well. And so it's a resource for you to connect to other park alumni, or to park alumni and to other park scholars, for you to ask questions, for you to network. So different things like that. If I miss anything, someone jump in.
I'll just highlight the alumni portion of it. I was doing an internship this summer at MIT Lincoln Labs, and that was a really great experience, but it was remote. And so I didn't really get to have a ton of connection with the other people that were working at that company. And so I logged onto Spiffy and typed in Lincoln Labs, and there actually have been a couple of alumni who have worked there or interned there in the past. And so I remember when I was preparing for my interview, I talked to an alumni and got feedback, and he helped me practice. But also during my time at the company, I was able to connect with a bunch of alumni who work there currently, but they work in different parts of the company. And so it was really great to hear from them and kind of hear about their journey through Park and through NC State and how that led to their current work. And then also when it came time to apply for grad school, reaching out to people who were already in programs that I was interested in to get more information and just kind of hear their story about that was really helpful too.
I also want to say, like, as a freshman, Spiffy's been extremely helpful because, a lot of us come in thinking we know exactly what we want to do. But then, freshman year, you take a lot of classes, you meet people, and that starts to change a little bit. So having access to Spiffy and access to so many amazing alumni that are willing to connect with you when you need them has been really beneficial for me in trying to figure out what it is I actually want to do, and just what their experiences look like, some things that I should keep in mind along the way. And then a lot of them also have ties to programs that they were a part of in undergrad, and they are always more than willing to share those experiences with you, and also kind of like, give you any help that you may need in the process. So
I also will say I'm a huge proponent of Spiffy. I love Spiffy. It is also bookmarked on my computer. I love Spiffy. And so I'm looking to go to PA school, and so I need to shadow some physician assistants in order to do that. And so Spiffy has been great for that because I can go on to Spiffy, find some physician assistants. And then the really awesome thing about Spiffy and just the Park program and Park alum in general is if you reach out to them, they will reach back out to you. They will talk to you. They want to talk to you. They want to help you. They love this program. We love this program. You ever talk to anyone? And it's just like wonderful things. And so getting to talk to the alum and being like, hey, like, I'm looking for someone to shadow. Could I shadow you? They always have said yes. And so that's one thing that's really, really awesome about it. And also, a lot of Park alum and current parks end up applying for either like scholarships for grad school or other like national scholarships, and that's on their Spiffy profile too. And so if you get to the point where you're like, wow, I really want to do this scholarship, you can just like type it into Spiffy and see who's applied for it, and see if anyone has gotten it. And then if they have, you can talk to them and they will always talk to you about it, which is really, really awesome.
All right, great. So we actually do have a couple questions about the Honors and Scholars program. So if any of the panelists that are in either program want to talk about why they chose it and maybe some of their experiences, and also if you have lived in the quad, like the Honors Quad, maybe talk about how that's been. Gia, if you want to start.
Okay, so I currently live in the Honors and Scholars Quad. I live in Bagwell. I definitely recommend it just because of the proximity that we ended up having to other park scholars. I want to say that like maybe half of our class lives in the quad, and a lot of us are roommates with each other. So it's just really cool being able to like walk 30 seconds to the next building or down the hallway and like see one of your closest friends. So I think that's definitely built a lot of bonds between our class. It is hall style. You have a roommate. It is on the other side of Tally, so it's like a little bit away from the center of campus, but it's still, I think location wise, it's really nice. I also think it's really important that whenever you're looking for where you want to stay, that you keep in mind, I guess, the level of energy that you're willing to have in your living space. I know that the quad is definitely, because you're with other honors and scholars students, it's definitely a more quiet, calm area to be, which is really nice whenever you're working on your homework at night and things like that. And then I am in the scholars program. And so with that, we do a lot of like cultural activities, whether that's like a speaker comes on campus or we go to shows. There's different events that happen on campus that we go to for scholars credit. You can also go on trips. So I am actually going to Paris over spring break with the Honors and Scholars program. It's really cool. We're going to be there for a week. And we have what's called an All Paris Pass. So we get to go to like all the museums and all the really cool places in Paris. So I'm really excited about that. So I definitely recommend being involved in the Honors program or the Scholars program, either one. Oh, I think they're merging next year, actually. So it's the same program. Definitely recommend being a part of it.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really cool about the quad, about the Honors and Scholars Village is, like Gia said, like the community. When I was a freshman, so that was in 2020. So we got sent home 3 weeks in, but for the 3 weeks we were on campus, there's probably like 70% of our class was staying in the quad. And so it was really cool to be able to live near people. And then the scholars program, I'm in the scholars program. That's been really cool. I've been exposed to a lot of different things. I learned how to juggle in the scholars program. So if you guys want to learn a new skill, I know someone who learned how to ride a unicycle. We're not in a circus. Don't think that. Those are just some of the things that people do. But yeah, it's cool to have exposure to different things, and a lot of unique ways to experience Raleigh as well. Like go to shows, go to museums, different things like that, go on trips. It's super cool.
Okay, great. Asha, you can go ahead and unmute.
Hi, this is a question for all the panelists. I was wondering if you guys could just give us kind of some of the challenges, some of the highlights of your major, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I can start. Challenges of my major, I'm not gonna lie, organic chemistry. It just is what it is. Like, it's just a hard class. I will say I ended up loving the class. I'm a TA for the class now. But if there's one thing that was challenging about my major, it would definitely be organic chem. But other than that, I'm a neurobiology major, and so I really love my major because any major NC State can do research, but because we have the vet school, I'm able to do a lot of research involving especially dogs, and I love dogs, but kind of the intersection between like neurobiology and veterinary science, which is really cool. And there's just a bunch of different opportunities for that. And being in the Raleigh area, being a science major, there's so many different opportunities, whether you want to work in a hospital, and we have Rex, which is right down the road, or you want to work in a big like pharmaceutical company, that's right down the road too. And so it's really the resources and how accessible everything is definitely a benefit.
Plug for electrical engineering. It is a really hard major. There's a number of classes that I have definitely gotten B's in. Electromagnetic field was pretty rough. Our like combination linear algebra differential equations class was pretty rough. And then some of the graduate classes that I've taken were really rewarding and super interesting, but also really hard. But I think through one of the reasons that I like my major so much is that we do have the ability to take graduate classes starting about your junior year. which is really nice, especially if you're looking to ramp into that grad school track. There is also an accelerated bachelor's, master's program. I think that's true for a lot of the programs on campus though. So that can be a really great opportunity if you're looking to do a master's. I also, to echo Emma Grace, the research is phenomenal. NC State is a Research 1 school, which is kind of like D1 for sports, except research. But I do know that on campus, we do have 2 National Science Foundation Engineering Research Centers. So one is the Freedom Systems Center. They do a lot of like power electronics, smart grid, all of those fun buzzwords. But then I also do research with the Assist Center, and they do a lot of wearable health devices. And so starting, I think about my sophomore year, I was able to start working on a project where we're using optical methods to diagnose iron deficiency anemia, which usually requires a blood draw. But the places where iron deficiency anemia is concentrated is also the places where like medical resources are pretty lacking. And so you might not have the ability to do a blood draw, to process the sample, all of that. And so we're trying to build a watch that does that, which has been a really great experience. And I also really love radar. So there's been a lot of radar classes and signal processing and all of that. And so I think because the department is so big, there's so many different opportunities and different pathways and so many different classes that even if you're not 100% sure going in what you want, you have so many opportunities that you'll find something that you like along the way.
Every chance I get, I plug life sciences first year. So before you can like enter into like a bio, like I'm human bio, Emma Grace's IPN, which is like the neurobio part, or any other major that's related to like life sciences. Yes, we do love LSFY. So LSFY is like a smaller community where you're able to take like your entry-level classes and get those out of the way within the program. So like your chems, your bios, your calculuses, things like that, and probably like your intro course for your major, whether that's like nutrition, genetics, things like that. You're able to kind of explore through the program and the other life sciencey majors that there are. So like one thing I will say is that it's really hard. I think college in general, for everybody, is hard. Classes are hard. You're making the transition from high school to doing work completely on your own, with little guidance. But I will say it's been really rewarding being in LSFY, being able to connect really easily with the professors because it is a smaller community, being able to connect really easily with the director. We love Dr. Coastal as well. But yeah, you guys will hear more about this during finalist weekend, but I just love LSFY and the opportunities that I've had because of it.
All right. We had a question from Caden. What is the most rewarding thing and the most taxing thing about your time as a Park Scholar? Shannon, if you want to start as our senior.
Sure. I think I'll start with the taxing, and I don't think this is because of the Park Scholar. It's something that the Park program has helped me through. I think coming out of high school, I was definitely I was a chronic overloader, and I was doing a lot of things because I felt like I had to do them and not because I actually liked doing them. And so my freshman year, I was in all the clubs. I did all the research. I was just doing a lot of stuff that really wasn't in line with where I wanted my life to be, 4 years later. And so kind of talking with the park staff, talking with park mentors and various other faculty mentors and alumni on Spiffy, they kind of helped me realize what in my life I needed to cut out and how to cut it out, because I'm also really bad at quitting, and I needed help on how to do that and not feel like I was failing myself and failing others in doing that. And so I think that's a really common experience for a lot of Park Scholars, especially during their first couple years. But also the most rewarding part has been getting to be part of this really amazing community. My 36 or my 35 best friends in my park class are people that I will remember forever and stay in touch with forever. And then getting to interact with high school students during finals weekend is such a rewarding process because I get to share about this program that I love so much. with the parents and students that come. And so I think just the entire experience and the community, both inside NC State and outside, that I've gotten to build this program has been the most rewarding part.
All right. So if anybody else wants to talk about their experience, I understand if not, it hasn't been as long for everyone else, but we would love to hear from a freshman or sophomore.
I guess I can
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Emma. You're good.
Okay. I don't really know, like, I don't really think I can think of anything taxing, but I would say honestly, the best part, it has really just been the community, and not even just my sophomore class, but all the classes. Like even the class that just graduated, I've made so many like lifelong friendships and relationships with those people. And like I said earlier, one of the parks, like she's my best friend. We literally live together. We're getting a house together next year. And just the friendships, the relationships are everything. And even the ones with the alumni, everyone is so sweet and cares so much about each other. And it's such a, and I feel like there's definitely times where communities with a lot of people who are like-minded and really intelligent can get very competitive and toxic, and Park is not one of those communities. Everyone is always supporting everyone and encouraging each other. And we have this thing at the beginning of the year called kudos, and everyone in all the grades, they go and they put down things that they've accomplished the past semester, the past year, and everyone just cheers everyone on. And it's a really, really wholesome moment, honestly. And so definitely that's, in my opinion, like the best thing about Parks.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. I mean, I've only been here for a semester, but I can definitely say there have been so many upperclassmen that have reached out and become such a huge part of my experience as a freshman in terms of helping me navigate campus, navigating my classes, or like any extracurricular activities. And then I want to echo what Emma Grace said about like the friendships that we've made. I mean, I've found some of my best friends and who I think will be some lifelong friends through the Park program. And so, you know, my core friend group is Parks. I also have a lot of outside Park friends too, but I will say that like the most rewarding part of the program is definitely, you know, outside of the experiences that you get to be a part of, and the money's good too, but the people definitely make it such a unique program, and one that I think is unmatched at any other place.
Just to make sure that we're moving forward, we have a question about pegs. So if any of y'all have experience applying for receiving a peg, if you want to talk about what your project was, anything surrounding that, we would like to hear it.
I feel like I've talked a lot, but if no one else has peg stories, I can go. All right. I was part of the underwater robotics team. It's very cool. We build a robot. It goes through an obstacle course all by itself in San Diego, international competition. Fantastic. I got to build circuits. I got to do like some vision processing, camera work, machine learning stuff. Amazing. It's an expensive trip though. It's a week in San Diego. And so I applied for a PEG. They helped to cover the cost of my airfare, hotel, and registration for that conference. At that conference, I was able to network with professors that I later then looked at for graduate school, and also with other teams from around the world. And then also I got to go to talks on like acoustic array signal processing, which I think is the coolest thing ever. And so pegs are pretty much good for completing all sorts of student projects. I have a friend who just applied for a PEG to build a boat, but I've also had friends apply for PEGs to go to the, like, one of the people in my class is kind of like a Steve Irwin. He likes to wrestle alligators on camera and then like give you fun ecology facts. His name is Ben Zeno, look him up, he's awesome. But I know he's applied for some PEGs to do some of that work too. And so really it's Park supporting you financially in whatever it may be that you want to do in that project, whether it's go to a conference, do research, do an unpaid internship, whatever it may be. And so it's a pathway towards doing a lot of things that you might not be able to do without that additional funding.
In terms of like the process of getting pegs, I think it's really straightforward. I just filled out one recently. It's literally the questions are all on Spiffy for what needs to be involved in the peg application. And then if you don't get it off the first try, they usually send back edits so that you can get it during the second peg cycle. So I will say that like I don't think they're too hard to get, and they're really universal. Like you can really do them for anything. Park just wants you to experience anything that you feel would be beneficial to not only your career, but to you as a person. So pegs are awesome.
Great, thank you. And just as a preface, you do get a ton of information about pegs in your first semester. I know, like, I haven't applied for one yet. I haven't needed to, but I feel pretty well equipped to, if I wanted to apply for one. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But they are super useful. So, Dylan, you can go ahead and unmute.
Thanks for being here. I just wanted to ask a little bit about how the social life balances both with demands of being an NC State student, but also specifically as a Park Scholar.
Well, I'm a freshman, so I don't know. Oh, I'm a freshman, so I don't know what's gonna look like next year. But I will say that I did come with a few credits, so my class load is, I feel like, a little bit heavier than the average freshman. But I haven't had too hard of a time balancing my social life with schoolwork. My grades have been really good. I've been able to balance extracurricular activities while also being able to spend time with my friends. So I think it's really just about time management. So I honestly don't think it's been a big issue, like, because of Park. I think it really just depends on you and how well you are with balancing just college in general with your social life outside of college. But I will say that I've had a fantastic time. I've met so many amazing people, been a part of so many amazing clubs. So I think that social life, it's not like maintaining a good social life or having fun at college as a Park is definitely not something that any of us are a stranger to. I don't think that my experience would be any different if I was not a Park socially than because I am, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate all of that, I like to think I have a pretty good social work balance. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as Gia. My classes are hard. And of course, as you get older and as you progress through your time at NC State or really any college, your classes will get harder. But I mean, time management is big, but I think it's, that's really whether you're a Park or not, regardless of whatever you do. But I think Park honestly has been really helpful for my social life because I have all of those friends and then I have all these other friends, and it's just, I'm a very social person, and so I just like having a bunch of friends, and so it's been really great. And you definitely, when people tell you that you have more free time in college, it doesn't feel like that, but you definitely do. And so there's definitely time for you to like sleep enough and eat and have a really, really fun social life and get all your work done and do things to help you prepare for grad school or whatever job you get into.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is, bottom line, it is what you make it. So make of it. So that's going to be true anywhere. So we have time for maybe 2 more questions. I'm checking the chat. I think, oh, we had a question about what was your favorite service project? If anybody has anything that they'd like to plug or maybe talk about that was super meaningful.
I'll plug a service project. So during your sophomore year as a Park, you do a CEI, Civic Engagement Initiative. And this is kind of like a year-long internship, usually with a nonprofit. Sometimes at school, it really depends. So we've had people intern, in quotes, with like the Blood Connection, doing like blood drives, and then various other organizations. But my sophomore year, myself and another person in my class, Noah Wolf, decided we wanted to make our own year-long project. And we wanted to make air quality monitors that were independent of existing infrastructure, low cost, and easy to use. And we were like, we're going to get it done in a year. It's going to be easy, boom, done. And that'll be that. Well, 3 years later now, we have a nonprofit called Seaver, and we're getting our tech. Our tech is kind of in a good spot, and we're hoping to deploy those low-cost air quality monitors across primarily Eastern North Carolina, but across North Carolina as a whole, and partner with communities to collect really high-resolution data about their air quality. There's a lot of concerns, especially like with concentrated animal feeding operations and various new plants that are being put in. And so we're hoping to partner with communities to either help them feel better about the quality of the air that they're breathing, or give them data so that they can lobby for change to their air quality, whichever one that might be. And so I think the park program has been really helpful in teaching me how to do respectful service and how to engage with the community in a respectful way, while also being able to support their goals with the talents slash experiences that I've had through park and through my major. So, right, I'm able to design these circuits to go in these air quality monitors. And so that's kind of how I can bring my talents in electrical engineering to service through that service project. So I think someone else might have a service project they want to plug.
Mine is also with the CEI. This is a little bit of like a self plug too, but I'm a sophomore right now, so I'm doing the civic engagement initiative. And for mine, instead of joining a different organization, I decided to start my own nonprofit with another girl at NC State who is not a park. And so we were lucky enough to be able to get our nonprofit as one of the civic engagement initiative opportunities that people could intern. So it's me, the girl I started it with, and another park scholar who's helping us right now, who's interning for us, which is really, really cool. But ours it's called Lux. It's a nonprofit that provides legal resources to survivors of sexual violence. And that nonprofit, I just love it. It's really close to my heart. I think it's a wonderful cause. But park has been really great with that. And park, obviously, service is such a big pillar. So they definitely encourage that. And throughout the CEIs, you see that service obviously is a big part of that. But throughout your time in the park program, there's so many opportunities, like Shannon was talking about, like I've talked about, and even just so many other ones. Like you do not need to start your own nonprofit. This is not what I'm saying. Do not feel the need to do that. But there's just a variety of different service opportunities that park will help you start or help you get into, which is really, really awesome. And then we also, every park scholar participates in Service Raleigh, which is a citywide service project, not a singular one. There's a bunch of different projects that you can do, and it's all one day in April. I think it's like April 15th this year, something like that. And it's just every park participates in it, and you just spend like half a day or a whole day doing service in the Raleigh community and giving back. And it's really, really awesome. So that's just another way that park gives back.
Yeah, I'll plug Service Raleigh. I'm on a committee for that. So I'm a co-chair of a committee for Service Raleigh. And it's been a super cool experience for me to be able to kind of like leadership and service in one, as well as be able to like collaborate with other parks, because a lot of other parks do hold leadership positions for Service Raleigh. It's been really cool to like reach out to other people and to kind of turn like the NC State community outwards all over Wake County. It's been pretty cool. It's April 9th this year. You guys should sign up. Sign up to be a site leader too if you want to. That's why I'm in charge of recruiting. So.
All right, and just to close us out, we did have a question about how your experience has been as an out-of-state park scholar. So if anybody has any advice or insight on that, we can go ahead and with that to close this out.
I think I'm the only park from out of state on the panel. I'm seeing nods from the other panelists. Okay, cool. So I'm from Florida. So I live about 12 hours away from state. So I live in Pensacola, if you guys know know the geography of Florida. It's like in the Panhandle. So that's where I'm from. It is very different here in Raleigh, here in the Triangle. Not only like were most of the people that I lived with that like from Florida, they're all pretty similar. There was really not that much diversity. So what's really cool about the Triangle is all the diversity, all of the different things going on. We have RTP, Research Triangle Park. We have all the culture stuff in Raleigh. So that was super cool for me to experience coming from living in the middle of nowhere in Florida. And so as an out-of-state park, I think I consider Raleigh home right now. I've been here for almost 2 years. And it's been really cool. I only go home probably like once or twice a semester though, because it is a 12-hour drive or an expensive plane ticket. But the what's really made Raleigh feel like home, it's like people have said earlier, is just the community. I live with another park, and we live in a row of townhouses that 8 other parks live in, and we're the 3rd generation of parks to have lived here. So the community in park is really cool, and that's kind of been my experience being out of state. Also, Bojangles is really cool. Don't have that in Florida. We don't have Cookout either. We do have Whataburger, so maybe we can get that up here. But yeah, that's just kind of my experience.
All right. I think that ends it. Just want to say good luck to all of you guys next week. Hope you have fun. Because that's what it should be. It should be fun at the end of the day. And if any of the panelists have any last words, you can go ahead. But otherwise, you're good. You can leave.
Thank you.